Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to Horizon Exploration. This is Dregn Durant of the Yasuhiro88ch, and we are kicking off our sci-fi tabletop RPG campaign. Hope you're all ready for it. We'll do a brief little recap and introductions as we get into it, but yeah, holidays are coming up. Hope you've all been doing well. We got the whole party here screaming in my ear. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get our helmet on and we'll get started. All right, party members.
Hey.
Sound
Hello.
off. Hello, hello. All right, let's go with some intros. Starting at the top, Sam Stonewill, played by Peter.
Hi, everybody. Hopefully, we start something today.
What do you mean?
I'm disappointed we haven't started something already.
We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Cooking.
Cooking. All right, Maxine Beck, played by Sean.
How's it going? I'm Sean. I'm also as BL. I'm playing Maxine Beck, the strategic advisor of Arcturus.
And emotional support counselor.
A fancy title.
Every week, just a little more cowboy.
Just a little bit, right? All right, we got Cadin Lumin, played by Calvin.
Hello, Calvin. I play Cadin Lumin, and I need to find out what my role at Arcturus is here now. I discovered we're taking on roles now.
Oh boy. Get in line. All
The
right.
problem is we all think everyone else has a different role.
Yeah, secretly I'm the emotional support person, but I don't actually know that it's actually Maxine.
I thought you were the mysterious one in the group.
Yeah, I am the mysterious one. But I'm an official like office type.
Okay. All right.
Title, mini hat.
I'm like the CON, the chief executive office of mystery or something.
Oh, Sam's right. Everyone really does have different roles for everybody. All right, Daario Cortez, played by Sergio.
Hi everyone, Sergio playing your resident ranger in the group, and just here to have a good time, everybody. Yeah, you tell me what you need.
What you want?
What you need.
What you doing?
Koji Akiyama, played by Corey.
Hello. Corey playing Koji Akiyama, the group's resident punch lad, alive and on time for once.
Yeah, he's been napping a little bit in the car here and there, but you know, he's here. Let's go. We're ready to fight. Well, don't stir anything up in the city yet, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we haven't yet. I'm surprised.
All right, let's jump into a short little recap of our last session as the group had ventured out east of Fontaine. And I think for this, we'll briefly switch over to the combat board. Very, very briefly. Where...
Time for combat.
Not quite. You guys already killed them. They're already dead in front of you. But there was a rogue group, or an alleged rogue group, that was approaching Fontaine. And by request of the Narrow Trade Company, specifically Mr. Cooper, the party had ventured east to intercept and identify the intent of what this group is heading to Fontaine for. And, well, after a brief conversation, fighting did break out. Maxine, I think, was the one that essentially triggered it, and the party promptly managed to, with some quick thinking, clean them up. And the remaining person of this group, a Saraya, had been taken prisoner, though briefly, as the party wished to exchange some information, understand kind of why she was prisoner, what this group had allegedly done, and get her side of the story. Ultimately decided to release her, and with parting with their Omni device that Jack Finnigan had granted them from the Fontaine Library, given that to Saraya in order to get in contact with the party in the future if need be. But Saraya had started to make her way back northeast, and the group had ventured back to Fontaine. And once the group had returned to Fontaine, they spent a little bit of time. They did get their reward for taking out the other members of the foreign group, and were promptly granted, if I recall, 3 million credits, 1 mil for each body, as their bounty price had increased before the exchange took place. And back in Fontaine, to spend some of those new rewards, the group had decided to go back to Electron Wares, the electronic superstore that housed all sorts of electronic gadgetry, including a little section that housed several weapons. And There was an area for vehicle-related electronics and throwable electronics, all sorts of goodness. But we did see the party pick up. Maxine picked up for the whole party, amongst some other items, Omni visors. So much like their Omni wristwatch devices, they now all have visors that they can use to be a little bit more tactical and have some engagement possibly with their devices mid-action if need be, whether that be in a combat situation or even as basic as just being able to have comms when they are all leveraging the visors together. So we'll see how the party decides to utilize these new visors. But yeah, Maxine had picked that up, and I think another purchase that was noteworthy is the AI module that Sam had picked up for installation into the vehicle that the party is currently has been occupying for a while now. So the self-driving vehicle AI mod does need to be installed at some point, but that is something the party can look forward to. And
now I could start the car and then ride on top of it.
there you go. That's an idea. As you bang it for repairs, right? Mid-fight. Yep. Some space and stone. Let's go.
If I just whack the hammer at it, it fixes all parts of this vehicle.
Yeah, that's how repairs work.
Yeah.
All right. And then after their little shopping escapades, they had decided to head back to John Grimes, if you all remember, is the owner of Grimes' shop, who the party had met very early on when they had first entered Fontaine, or in the midst of, as they had run out of fuel, and John was kind enough to pull over, see what was up, and even grant them some fuel to make it into town. There was a bit of a scuffle as they did have some business, and it ended maybe less ideally, but on their return they did part ways with another 5 million credits, which was promised to John for the business transaction that they had ventured off on their behalf, and also with some quick thinking by Cadin, who had ordered a reasonable personal terminal, basically a personal computer of sorts, that was airdropped by Omni with their special 5-minute delivery. And kind of partway into their conversation with John, the terminal arrived and did well to kind of set things right. Not only did John and co get the money that they were hoping to receive from the Narrow Trade Company for the big work that they had done, but they also got their new and upgraded terminal, which their old one was damaged by an unknown member of some group out there. But with that, the group is preparing to decide where to go next. And I believe you guys had settled outside of Grimes' shop near your vehicle. The party is all present. Let's actually go ahead and get Saraya's icon out of here as well. And
I think we decided to stay. No, we were going to head out to Edgerton, right?
Once we wrapped up what we were doing, which we still had to meet with library dude.
yeah, I don't think you guys had fully decided just yet, but there was talks about going back to the library. I think there was some interest in seeing what was going on with Jack at the Central Library. But for the first roll of the night, Maxine, I need you to give me a d20 roll. Skirting the line, I see. Okay. All right. Well, as you are all kind of discussing amongst yourselves around your vehicle, currently within the business area, or at least the outskirts of the business district, within Fontaine, Maxine, you are going to get a chime on your visor that comes from Mr. Cooper. And Mr. Cooper doesn't have a whole lot that he is sending your way, but the gist of his message is, if you're interested, I have a new task for you all. You seem to be capable, and you had dealt with the recent engagement efficiently, as I can tell, and yeah, if you're interested, he has a new proposal, a new task that he would like to propose to you all. And if you are in the city, which he makes note that he believes you are near, then consider stopping by, and we can discuss the terms, the requirements, and the payout that the Narrow Trade Company is willing to offer you and your group. While you are about to finish reading and close this out and determine kind of what to relay to the rest of the group, you get a second message not long after. The second message coming from Saraya. And Saraya's message is a bit less structured and also seems to include an attachment. The attachment appears to come from a Jack Finnigan. But the Saraya's message states, I don't know if this is for me or for you, but it had, I believe, your name in it, and I figure you would be interested in the message, and I am forwarding this to you. Saraya has sent you a message from Jack Finnigan, which was sent to her through the Omni device that you had given her. And fortunately, she had forwarded it to you, and Jack's message reads, I've been looking into Dynasty and their dealings after our discussion. I think I may have found something. If you guys are in Fontaine, do stop by the Central Library, and I'd like to speak to you all. And that's it. No other information.
Oh shit, we finished the tutorial. So many side quests now.
Whoops, that was
I
muted.
can't say anything but I'll spray.
What?
What the heck?
Excuse me?
I'm yelling at someone else in my room here.
You good? Did you find your pants? All right.
All right. I want to send a message to Soraya. Just thank you for forwarding it to me.
Cool.
And suggesting maybe deleting it, just in case.
Okay. I'm gonna have you give me a persuasion roll.
Persuasion. 13.
Cool.
Persuasion.
All right.
We need to get more charisma, man.
Someday, maybe.
Listen,
We'll see.
when the vocal forerunner is spec'd for combat, this is what happens, guys. But yes, Maxine, you currently are the only one who has received these messages, being how somehow you've managed to funnel yourself into the web of communications here.
So, I guess the party here, we're going to go see Jack Finnigan next then? That was on our list?
I think that's the best next step. Cooper has a job waiting for us, but I don't know if I care.
Yeah, I was going to say, we never really finished the conversation. Do we want to work for Cooper? Do we want to be fixers for Cooper?
It starts with 1 or 2 missions. Next thing you know, he's got us working for him all over the planet.
I mean, the more favors we do for him, I would suspect the deeper we get wormed into his dealings, and I don't know if I like the sound of that, but Jack has some stuff for us. Well, yeah, he did say he wants to speak to us all, so...
3 million isn't much to sneeze at. It's a good amount of money, especially if we're going to be doing these missions for a little bit longer.
We might be able to, well, we might not be able to match Dynasty money, but I think we can, if we're really invested in trying to do this kind of work, then maybe find our own jobs to do.
That sounds good to me. We have our own
Like
goals,
Jack.
so...
But John, we handled that all right in the end. So, yeah, Jack has info for us, so I think
Jack it is. Thank you. We still are at John's, right? Like, so we.
You guys were roughly around where John is, correct? But
Okay.
while you guys are discussing, I mean, we could say you guys had gotten into the vehicle and started to head out, and it did seem
John
like
has a sign that says "No loitering."
no Koji's allowed. Beware of Koji. But yeah.
Oh, GM, I was gonna just mention before we were gonna head out, because I believe before we were leaving, I think Mr. Koji had noticed something in the sky, right?
That is a fair point.
Oh right, yeah, the fucking thing was way up.
That is a good point. So yeah, Koji had pointed this out to the group because, well, with the man behind the curtain's absence, Koji had kind of idled near the vehicle for much of the session, and while the party was working with John, or at least mending their past exchange with John, they returned to the vehicle, and Koji was kind of just sitting there against the car, maybe looking up a little bit here and there, but he pointed out to the group that, hey guys, I think is that a bird? Oh, what the hell is that? As he pointed out, and I believe, who was it? It was Maxine, and was it just Maxine? I think that was the perception rolls. Yeah, I think it was just Maxine, unless someone corrects me, who had spotted that up above there certainly does seem to be a somewhat avian object. Definitely appears to be more of an object that was flying and kind of circling like a vulture above them. It did appear, I believe, to be with you had rolled a 21. So I had described it to have, I think, a wingspan that had something moving on the wings and a very rigid, kind of reflective body that looked very much like a mechanical drone of sorts that was flying up above. And that was a point mentioned. Yes, you are correct.
I guess that when that was made aware to the group, I wanted to look to see if it looked very if it seemed mechanical in its movement, or trying to notice if it seemed a little bit more organic. Basically, is it a bird or is it a plane or is it Superman?
Yeah. So, couple things to keep in mind as you guys were looking up, and Koji, go ahead.
Is there a zoom function on the Omni visor?
Yeah. You don't have super good zoom. I think I had voiced that the Omnivisors didn't necessarily have a built-in zoom function, though there is a camera function that does have a limited 3x maybe at most. But that is generally used when using kind of the camera function. Mostly the visor.
What if I stretch my neck out?
Yeah.
What if I simply pick Sam up and throw him?
You look through the big end. Yeah. You just throw Sam up there. You want to try it? But I believe, Maxine, did I give you advantage? I don't recall, because you did have the new binoculars.
And Daario does as well too.
Daario does as well. So
also, if we ever go back to that long transfer, we have to look for something that has a 2-kilometer range so we can shoot this thing down next time.
Man, it's just a weather balloon, guys. Calm down.
Yeah. So poor guy.
Yeah, but
I got my research project for college done.
Yeah,
with this railgun I mentioned before.
Yeah, even keep going back to it. But yeah, with Maxine's 21, we'll say that what gets relayed back to the party is definitely that the object does appear to be mechanical. It does seem to fly in a very uniform manner. It's not varied and sporadic like a living creature might behave up in the skies. It definitely seems to rotate in the kind of circumference of this orbit up in the sky in a very uniform, consistent pattern, which just by that observation alone, Daario, you could probably come to the conclusion that it is mechanical in nature, and with the magnification of the binoculars, it definitely does appear to have a more reflective surface and lack of variance that leads you to believe it is mechanical. But with that said, do keep in mind that there are other occasional flying and floating objects. So whether the relevance of it is of question, because maybe it's just something that flies up in Fontaine, but it is something that Koji had spotted and felt worthy of mention.
Maxine, at the next stop we make, let's see if we can see if this thing is, I don't know, maybe following us.
Seems suspicious. Isn't it like the third time we've seen something like this?
I definitely saw one coming at us when we came across that first pod.
Actually,
dropship.
Sam, I'm using Sam like here again. Look up if like the I don't know, police or something have something like this. Would there be something online about that?
You want to know if the police have a flying drone?
Yeah.
I don't search anything up. Yes.
Okay.
Koji will kind of look over at Maxine. Could it be a dynasty watching us?
Maybe, but Dynasty has me. Why would they need to be watching us unless they suspect something?
When was the last time you checked in with them?
It wasn't terribly long ago. I think before we set out. I mean, I didn't call him and say, "Hey, how's it going?" But I had some sort of message from him, I think, that I looked into before we took on this job, or somewhere around that time.
And normally in your role, is it okay for you to go dark for days or months?
This is an unusual mission. So, it's an unusual mission, and they've thrown us out like a cluster bomb. They have to expect variance in operating procedures and oddities in their agents. Especially when their dropships are so inconsistent that they'll just smash into anything and kill half the people on board.
I mean, it'd be smart to keep tabs on the ones that survived, so we couldn't go behind their backs and steal their shit.
Yeah, but that's a lot of people to keep an eye out on. Drones. I mean, when we found that when I saw the first one, if I remember, I thought it was coming from the east, so I thought maybe related to Edgerson. That's east-ish. And more north than we were from where we were, but things were a lot easier when there was proper mapping of everything here.
What? Hasn't changed that much. Like,
I mean, that ocean turned into mountain turned into ocean.
Desert.
It went one way or the other, and you can't account for that.
That's a rare. Well, maybe not. I've only heard of it happening like once. Maybe it's happened more than once, but usually it's not that extreme.
Yeah, well, I think I asked Jack about the drone last time, but didn't have as good a view on it this time. Maybe we can lay out the structure, see if he has any clearer idea. Unless it's Jack's, in which case he's not going to tell us anything. Unless we really press him. Seems like a hard to press guy.
Let's go talk to Jack then. I feel like that's our next step. Let's go see Jack Finnigan.
Uh-huh.
All right.
I'll start heading towards the vehicle wherever we parked it.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys are all going to head up to the Central Library District and go say hello to your buddy Jack Finnigan. Now, before you get there, one more mention of a note that I overlooked is towards the end of last session, you guys did also manage to convince John to give you some contacts. If you recall, you have the body of Jado, the kind of human machine man android. You're not entirely sure what he is exactly, but he does seem to be made primarily of machine when it comes to what's within him. And John did give you 3 contacts, one that was fairly official, one that was kind of a young but with potential, a tough kind of female character, and I don't recall if I made you roll specifically for it, but he also gave you a 4th contact, one that's a bit more of an underground. So 4 names: Linus Watts, Kid Shoreline, Sammy, and Mr. Sibo were the names given to you. So if you ever want to look into Jado's body, those were an option as well.
We should do that before we leave, actually.
But on your way over to the Central Library District, it is a very easy ride to get over there on the highway. And let's go ahead and pop the Library District image. Why? Not sure why this one is so large. Oh, they're all like that, actually. Okay, so some of them were getting cut off a little bit. All right. But yeah, the Fontaine Central Library, big, kind of beautiful central area, looks very safe. Again, people are out mulling, having meals at cafes. There's various kind of parks and greenery stationed about, and a great deal of hustle and bustle at the Central Library District. But you all get up to the parking near the central area, where there's kind of various kind of food areas, and it looks like a very cozy plaza. But you head up to the main steps of the large kind of central spire tower and enter the Fontaine Central Library, where you see the front desk and the elevators behind.
Now, I know it sounds like a stupid thing to ask, so I'm already regretting bringing it up. Should we bring the barrel to Jack, maybe see if he can tell us if there's any value to the
No, ask, but I don't know.
contents?
Might seem a bit peculiar to bring it inside.
That's what I'm thinking.
We can certainly
Otherwise,
make...
we would just have to take it to our other contacts.
Or we let Jack know, maybe, and slide it in our dialogue that we've got something for him to see.
Asking for a friend, know what to do with dead cyborg bodies. Asking for a friend, like.
I think we can be pretty direct with Jack for the most part, so we'll bring it up. I'm already planning to, but I just wasn't sure if we should bring it with us. Alright, let's go.
Photo or something? I feel like we won't be able to get like a body into the library without someone asking questions.
That's in a barrel. I mean, there's still going to be questions about Koji carrying a barrel, but...
Yeah. I think just grab a photo of it quickly.
I chuckle at the unspoken understanding that Koji's going to be the one carrying it.
Yeah.
So what we're...
Like, he just carries a building around, it's fine, it's normal.
Yeah.
If I could just, like, climb up on top of the truck, pop it open, and grab a quick picture, maybe try to get some components in view.
Sure. Yeah,
so I have something, be like, you know anything about any of this terrible photo?
Yeah, you get a photo of this kind of decapitated head with electronic components kind of torn from where the neck seam is, and maybe a photo of the torso as well, or at least where the neck is, kind of where it's slumped into this barrel. But yeah, those couple of images should do get a good look of primarily the face that has a lot of the more visual components, which for those that don't recall, I guess we'll enable this image here, move it over here. Yeah, Jaro, who did have some interesting differences with his appearance. Yeah, you got that.
Yeah, I'll just close it back up afterwards and
cool.
Feel real dumb about myself.
All right. Well, you get up to you grab your photos. You guys make your way in, and receptionist greets you all. How can I help you?
We're with Arcturus. We're being expected by Jack. He sent a message not too long ago.
Okay. With that, the man behind the desk will clack away, looking up at each of you on occasion, just observing, and a few moments later will wave you through. Well, looks like he is expecting you, and he has made himself available. Go right up on ahead.
Usual place, 3rd floor, or whatever it was. Fuck, I can't remember from memory.
I also can't seem to remember from memory what floor he was on, but yeah, you're directed. You're directed to floor J, correct? And you make your way up to Office Jack, and yeah, there you will find a Jack Finnigan, a somewhat, I wouldn't call him elderly, but an aged fellow, a man who definitely seems to have a somewhat tired expression, but eyes filled with promise. And you find Jack in a small little office room. Sorry, not in a small office room. I remember what happened now. So no, when you get into the elevator and you go to push the button for the floor that he was on, which I want to say it was actually like the 20th floor.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was way up.
I don't think it was your 3rd floor. You're thinking about the hotel, but when you go to push the button to go to the floor the receptionist had directed you to, the elevator does not feel to go up. Correct, it goes down. And you will find yourselves in the basement levels where Jack had brought you all previously. And when you make your way down the hall to the room that Jack had directed you all to prior, you will find Jack in that room, lights on at his terminal, and he looks up to you all. Oh, welcome. It's good to see you all again. I see you've made it in one piece. How have you been?
Out of curiosity, sorry, this has to do with the elevator ride down.
Yeah.
Did I feel like my powers cut off as we come down here, or do I not notice? Because I know they're going to, but I want to like try and pay attention to see if I can feel it change.
Sure. Give me a Arcana roll.
Really smart.
Cadin, why do you keep snapping?
Yeah. Sitting there in the elevator. Next thing you know, I blow us up.
So how are you trying to do it? Are you just simply trying to perceive it, or are you doing like an action?
I was going to try and perceive it. I'd probably go with perceive it. Sam's going to like tackle me if I try to use magic, so.
It's an elevator with mirrors. Can you just see your eyes change colors?
Yeah, so that's actually exactly what's going to happen. As Cadin focuses on his abilities, his eyes will begin to glow. And anyone within who has a perception of 10 or higher, we'll go with 10, if you would like it to look Cadin's way, will notice that Cadin's eyes do appear to
Question about the new visors that we have.
Yeah.
Do we now have the same photograph ability?
Yeah, here's a quick question.
Has?
Yeah, now that everyone does have the visors, is everyone going to be actively wearing them, or is someone just kind of keeping it in their pocket?
I want to take a picture of Cadin's eyes changing colors.
I also wanted to do that. I'm wearing my visor, keeping my Dynasty 1 stored away somewhere. But,
Okay.
wearing the new one.
So here's a quick question. Again, everyone will be wearing their visors, or is anyone pocketing them?
Koji is pocketing it.
Okay.
I'd pocket
It
mine.
does not fit the vibe.
Cool. Cool. You don't want to be Judge Dredd?
Take your outside mustache and make a unibrow on top of the visor.
Man, for some reason I just picture like future Koji is just like Reno. What's that police show? The Reno
911.
911. Yeah, Reno 911, but he has the Judge Dredd visor on.
Oh hell yeah!
And the mustache, of course. But Cadin, as you do this, yeah, Sam kind of notices and
So their phones are snapping like at the zoo.
yeah, he seems to be doing something with his visor. Maxine also will quickly kind of just make a quick gesture to capture something. And yeah, Cadin, so your eyes do glow as you focus on your abilities, and the deeper you get, the observers at least will notice that Cadin's eyes will begin to slowly fade and dim back to their normal blue color, not the brilliant kind of glowing color that he has shown off a few times before. Cadin, you on the other hand, don't notice any like physical change. There's nothing that seems to affect you in a way where you're like, oh shit, I've been zapped or drained or anything of ill vibe. So as far as you're concerned, like, it feels no different, but the ability to present it seems diminished when you're in this underground.
Okay.
Yep. But after the elevator, yeah, you guys make it back, and Jack is there waiting for you all.
Hello, Jack. It's been a while.
Certainly has. I have been keeping a small eye on what you guys have been up to. It seems you had ventured out recently. Did you discover anything new, perhaps?
We had a few meetings to get to. We ran into people. That's about it.
First things first. Get rid of my old contact info. I have something new now.
Oh, well, okay.
You don't necessarily have to get rid of it. Just know that it's not me anymore.
Oh.
There was a situation I had to give it away.
I
phone, who dis?
see. He looks a bit concerned. Well, I suppose it's a good thing I left all the pressing information. Correct. But yeah, you guys will. He'll go ahead and clear it out, and I assume as part of that, you'll exchange your current info contacts with him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now you said you might have found something. You wanted to speak to us.
I believe I did. After we had discussed, I had started looking a bit closer into what Dynasty has been up to. Now that, if it does in fact turn to be that Dynasty has had their hands in Aurora Green for longer than I had perceived or expected, well, there may have been some details that were overlooked. So I went digging into some of the records from before the fighting had broken out. And I found some interesting details. It appears, leading up to the fighting, there were a fair number of Dynasty shuttles that were making planet side, carrying what appears to be a large quantity of personnel. From what I could tell, a lot of them were marked as kind of science expeditions, but a few of them seem to be missing. There were some flight path details that the port records show that a ship has arrived, and there were persons and goods that had left our ports here in Fontaine. But when I looked at the records themselves, the information seems to have been scrubbed from the flight records. So whether that is by coincidence or design is unclear to me, but I believe, I'm beginning to believe that Dynasty may have had Dynasty may have been stirring the pot for longer than we had realized. I can't speak for the other major cities, but if they did it in Fontaine, and if my hunch is correct, that leading into the fighting, and ultimately what has transpired on Aurora Green, there may be more Dynasty people on planet than we had realized.
They are operating through a narrow trade company. We've been looking to potentially get rid of people that might be a risk to Dynasty. So,
Is this confirmed, and how do you know this?
because I'm ASEC, and Mr. Cooper of Nero sent me on one of these missions.
I knew Narrow Trade Company worked closely with Dynasty, but you're telling me that they work a bit more closely than they've been upfront about.
Enough distinction that, you know, Narrow is a Dynasty, Dynasty is a Narrow, but Dynasty clearly controls Narrow. And Mr. Cooper has the ideals.
I see. Well, it's concerning, but good to know. That's something that I will have to keep an eye out. There's not going to be a whole lot I can do about that, considering that the Narrow Trade Company and I share similar weight when it comes to Fontaine and its growth. I mean, when we are in our council meetings within Fontaine, their suggestions don't strike me as counterproductive. So, but I will continue to keep an eye on them. But with the information that I have gathered, we did take also a look at who's been entering and leaving Fontaine, and I specifically looked at the time frame where all these people are coming in, and I have noticed a pattern where there seems to have been a large number of people leaving Fontaine many years ago, and they had all departed out of the eastern gates. Now, this may just be speculation on my part, but I don't know if they were heading in the direction of Edrison. We do know that Edrison seems to have some involvement in what has happened on Aurora Green, considering the fires that we had seen, or at least the activity that we had seen through the lights in the skies coming from that direction. We also know that there seems to be some activity that happened up where the brunt of the fighting took place, up northeast. I think, quick pause here. Maxine, I don't recall, but do you recall if you had mentioned the, your home to Jack? I know you mentioned it to the Banuk's crew, and I feel like you did mention it to Jack as well, but
I think I mentioned, I don't remember if I said what my connection to it was, but I think I mentioned, like, I asked
you
about
asked
the
for
area.
information on the black armored people from him or something.
yeah, you definitely did that.
Yeah.
And I had it in my head a second ago, but your home was called
Atlan Grove.
Atlan Grove. That is the name. Thank you. But yes, Finnigan continues that though these people have left Fontaine, the numbers don't quite add up with the people returning. Now, warranted, that could be just simply because the catastrophes had hit in the more recent years, and, well, I'm sure not everyone has made it safely out of the events that had transpired, and there are many others who simply maybe left the planet through the AbsCorp shuttles that were dropped and used to get people off planet. But it begs the question, the people that Dynasty allegedly put here, where are they now? What are they doing? But my belief is that somewhere east is where we may find them. And if you are willing, I'd like to perhaps use some of your expertise. If you are comfortable leaving the city, I'd like some eyes out in that direction. Much of my tasks here restrict me from spending much time out of the city for extended periods, and, well, due to my position with the Central Library, my work and the personnel that I am responsible for are generally taking the work of knowledge and information within Fontaine and Aurora Green, but having feet on the ground and eyes out there is something that I am sorely lacking. Perhaps you'd be willing to join me in such a venture.
Yeah, when you say you want eyes, are you asking for just information, or are you asking us to get rid of them if they're around?
I frankly don't know. I don't know what their intentions are here. I don't know what they are doing. I don't know if they are still alive, and I don't know where they might be. All I know is that they likely, based on the numbers I've seen, departed eastward from Fontaine. But these records are from nearly over a decade ago. Whether they are still planet-side or not is even a question. But what I would like is, with the exteriors or at least not the exteriors, the lands outside of Fontaine have changed. I am aware of this. Many of the citizens within Fontaine, I sadly have to admit, are ignorant of the world outside. Many of them are aware that something has happened, and to try to keep them safe, we have kept most within the borders of the city. For those looking to venture farther away, we have made the recommendation that they either have proper personnel to keep guard and provide guidance out in the field. But for those looking for more opportunity, we've offered ways for them to get off planet, or at least made attempts to. With the changes to with the evacuation protocols, however, and now with Dynasty being ultimately in charge of this planet, from what I understand, the AbsCorp shuttles seem to be primarily in charge of getting people on and off planet, which has been a problem for us. It has gotten more and more difficult for us to get our own people off planet, unless AbsCorp allows it. And his expression sours a little bit at that comment. So, if you and your are to venture out of Fontaine, it doesn't have to be today. It could be, at your leisure. But I would appreciate information out there from a more direct and what I hope to believe, as his eyes narrow, a reliable source.
We try to be both reliable and trustworthy. I hope our work that you've been keeping an eye on us in town has shown through on that.
No, as far as I'm aware, he looks a little confused. What have you done within the town?
That's a long story, maybe for another day, but...
Gives you a bit of a cocked eyebrow and a nod, but...
I think this is something we can work on. And... if Dynasty has these people still planet-side, and if they're helping tear my homeworld apart, then they're gonna see the wrath. But information is what we need first.
Well, that is, I'm glad you feel that way, because I don't have much in monetary incentives to give, but perhaps if you are looking for information, then that is something that I can look into and provide as exchange for your work. I know.
We certainly need information.
Speaking...
Information has its own value.
I believe so. I like to believe so. Question though, this the receptionist had said something that caught my. I'm not familiar with this. What is Arcturus exactly?
Oh, yeah, we started a small organization. We do small jobs on the side, and that was the name we went with.
Huh, interesting. Arcturus has a nice little ring to it, I suppose.
Yeah, Maxine picked it.
I don't
I'm
remember.
not that creative.
Was it
That's a
Maxine?
good name.
Was it Maxine?
Yeah, it was Maxine.
Yeah, it was Maxine.
Yeah.
Way back when? Okay.
Yeah.
And actually, hey, here's a question, because did you have that spelling and the origin in mind back when you had mentioned it too?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
did. Very
I-
cool. Okay. I don't know, for those that may not have caught it, right? Arcturus is spelled, and I'll put it in the chat for anyone in the party who didn't jot it down, since this seems like it will stick for a little while at least. But Maxine, correct me if I'm wrong, but that should be the correct spelling. Arcturus.
Yeah.
Arcturus. All right, very cool. But yeah, Finnigan looks intrigued. He gives you kind of a nod of approval, and Arcturus, yeah, kind of says it a couple times under his breath and gives a nod.
It's
Good.
kind of what we're going by as a group these days. So Abscorp kind of dropped us here as a bunch of strangers, so having some sort of identifier is helpful.
Perhaps you can help me with a bit of information to kick this off then. I am aware of Dynasty through Abscorp dropping a large number of personnel planetside. There's been a couple groups that I believe came from these dropped groups that have ventured into the city. And last time we spoke, it seems that they are searching for something.
Mm-hmm.
Have you gotten any closer to finding what they are looking for? Is it in fact this core?
There seem to be I mean, that's
That's what we've been told.
what the big deal was about. That's the thing that's like, hey, you find this, you're set for life, you know, that kind of thing. Generally setting people down looking for other oddities and whatnot, but I think it all is leading them to one thing ultimately.
Yeah.
Speaking of other people, I have two things vaguely related to that I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
The first is this thing that when I first saw it, I wasn't sure exactly what it does, but now we're in Fontaine. What's the Fontaine Express? It's like a delivery company or something, transport.
Fontaine Express is our planet transit. It's something that we do still have running. We should generally perform flights. It's reduced with the kind of lockdowns that we have here, with the situation outside and all. But
Right.
a couple times a week, we'll send out a shuttle that heads over to oh my god, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. Shore.
Oh, I had to look it up. I know the one we're talking about.
Yeah, the other city. Jesus, I can't believe I'm forgetting the name. Anyways, there's the God damn, where is it?
Was it Stillwater?
Stillwater. Yes,
Yeah.
Stillwater. Thank you. Stillwater, which is to the southeast, far southeast, more south of Edgerson, east of Fontaine, but quite far from where you guys currently lie. And from the information that you guys had spoken to a few people, it's concluded at the moment that Stillwater is a bit more of a scientific, like, research city, one where there are more. Gosh, I forget who it was. It was probably, I think it was Luca, was the one that had voiced about it, because his sister came from Stillwater and he was familiar with it.
Yeah, that's why I remember it.
Yeah, there were a lot of scientists that had kind of congregated within Stillwater leading up to the catastrophes, and they have seemed to have a good relationship with the people within Fontaine. So yes, Finnigan continues that yes, these are interplanetary kind of shuttles, personnel, transport vessels that we'll send out periodically to Stillwater and drop off supplies, trade goods. Maybe if there's a handful of individuals, sometimes perhaps we need some scientists over here. Perhaps sometimes they need some goods from within Fontaine. And Fontaine is really kind of one of the major spaceports that we have on Aurora Green, or at least one that is, to my knowledge, primarily active. So, yeah. Why do you ask about the Fontaine Express?
Shortly after we arrived, we came across a crashed shuttle. Looked like one of the AbsCorp pods had struck it on the way down.
His face turns a bit grim at that information. I see. That is unfortunate. Perhaps you could give us some insight to where this was. I might like to send out a convoy to see if we can't recover, or at least what we can recover. We were wondering what had happened to a couple of vessels. There was one that we had sent out weeks ago, or not weeks, but a few weeks ago, to head over to Stillwater. And last we heard, they had made it, but on the return, we had lost contact with them. And, well, if it turns out there was an impact, that would explain a lot.
That pathing seems like it would line up.
You didn't happen to see any survivors, did you? If I'm not mistaken, there were supposed to be 2 scientists on board.
We didn't see anyone that survived. We came across some people that seemed to have come from the pod that were digging in a cave or something. Aggressive. As soon as we got near them, we had to put them down, but they had at least one non-combatant with them that I remember. The people we were traveling with took this woman into captivity to at least, sort what was going on out. They lost some people in the fighting.
Yeah, and as you're talking, he's kind of pulling it up on his terminal, and damn, that's a shame. It looks like it was a Mr. Choi and a Mrs. Lee were supposed to make it over here. They were going to share some of their findings. They've been doing research on some of the changes on Aurora Green, and we had sent them samples of the ores that we have here growing around Fontaine. We managed to get a few samples intact that didn't seem to diminish once it was broken off. We had sent it over, but damn.
You talking about the crystals?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Did you pull up a photo of this the scientist woman, if you have such a thing?
Both of them, or just the woman?
Well, both of them, but
yeah, you'll
unless one of them took up arms and was fighting for these people.
Yeah, he pulls up 2 images. One of a kind of, just so we understand, Asian appearing individuals. the male, pretty short haircut, very, I guess, egg-shaped face, and relatively kind of clean expression. Definitely has a very kind of lab man look. But the one that Maxine, I think you're getting to, that catches your eye, if you'll give me a history roll with advantage.
Let's see. History roll advantage.
I'll be honest, yeah, in my notes I didn't write down the ethnicity of the people we killed, so
15.
I wrote down what we were told about the woman.
Yeah, Maxine.
Which seems to line up so far.
Maxine, the image of Mrs. Lee looks as depicted in the token that I have brought next to yours, and it does, to your memory, resemble the female who seemed to have been with that group that came out of the cave and that you had left with Banuk and company.
Wow. So it seems like these pod thugs decided to take your science woman. She survived the fight, but then there was some catastrophe shenanigans that went down. One of the cars that was with us exploded. The other guy that was in that one, he's
wait, slow down. What
dead as a doornail.
What are you talking about now?
When we were down south, shortly after we arrived, still getting our bearings, we found this group of nomads.
Okay.
We were staying with them for a time, earning their trust, trying to get our bearings. And while we were down there, there was an area of salt flats that turned into an ocean.
You're losing me. What are you getting at here?
I'm losing you? Aren't you one of these magic people? Come on.
I mean, what does any of this information have to do with what we've been speaking about?
Well, we encountered these renegades.
Okay.
They had your science woman.
This one, as he points to the image of Lee.
That one.
Oh.
We killed most of the bandits. One of them survived. He looked strange, but I don't quite fully remember. We took her as well because we needed information. On our way back, one of the cars with the other guy exploded. Everyone in it died. And we were trying to outrun possibly a catastrophe appearing or something. I didn't know what was going to happen. This guy had a bad feeling. And so we were running. And then a car exploded.
And
at some point, the salt flats turned into an ocean. The car that exploded is now in the ocean. Or lake. I don't know. Lots of water. Alright. Point is, that's how that's all connected. It all happened about the same time. Same place. These people were in a cave doing something. There was a rocket covered in bug creatures that we encountered previously.
Yes, it's been a hell of a ride.
That left the planet. Came out from the ground, left the planet. It sounds like I'm ranting like an insane person.
Finnigan has a equally confused expression.
I have some photos of these things. I'm going to pull out my Dynasty visor and I'm just going to mass transfer all the photos I've taken since I got here to Jack.
Okay. You send them to him, and he transfers it to his terminal, which then he pulls up on the screen, and you all see the images from the caves to the flowers to the Swarm, I don't recall if you took the Swarm picture. I think that was Daario on his Grey
I
Ghost.
did.
Yeah. But, you know, the mandible, the ocean, the I guess, terraforming before and after, all sorts of images that Maxine has taken, including the end, which pops up the face and head of Jado, which Jack kind of pauses and looks back to you all. It's like, you guys have been busy.
I was going to ask you about that one as well.
Well, okay, let's one thing at a time. As his expression looks a bit strained. So these lands, as he scrolls back to the beginning, these are the salted lands, as I've heard, and then he kind of quickly skips over to where it becomes the flat ocean. You're telling me that the catastrophes are causing these changes?
Yeah. And we suggested against it, but one of the nomads even tasted the water, and as far as last we saw, he was still alive.
He was just salty.
And
like actual ocean or something.
And then he frantically scrolls back to like where the mandible and the exoskeleton, which, you know what, I still have that exoskeleton saved in here somewhere. See if I can find it real quick. The caverns. No, I had moved it to your records, I believe. Yeah, so here we go. So yeah, so looking at, right, the exoskeleton imagery, which, oh man, they really did make it all like minimized. I have to expand them all or resize them now. You want to make him do extra work.
There it is.
Yeah, so yeah, the exoskeleton, which Finnigan looks very intrigued at as he kind of steps a little closer. And then obviously also you guys managed to capture the insectoid itself as it was skittering along the walls, looking a bit creepy. And the mandible, which he kind of filters across as well, which this one looks a bit more grotesque, but yeah.
He's been busy.
Yeah, and he looks at that and he scrolls over to the flying object that seems to be that you took as you saw it departing, and you're telling me that these things are off planet? They somehow flew off planet?
They found or built a rocket and flew away right in front of us.
They did seem,
well, right in front.
at least semi-intelligent.
And after all this, and he skips into like some of the images that you probably took while you were with Banuk and the others. The image of the ocean comes into view again, which beautiful little ocean imagery here. But then he pulls over to like where Mrs. Lee's image once again, and you're telling me that she is alive still, but now with this nomadic roaming group.
They're going south.
You don't have a way to reach them, do you?
We might have something. I don't know how reliable it would be. When we were leaving, didn't they give us some sort of...
Not really.
I thought there was something that we just didn't have the means of really doing anything with at the time.
I don't know what you might be referring to.
I don't think we have anything.
The only thing I can recall that they had departed with you was
a paper with a frequency written on it from Cedar.
Yeah, there was a frequency. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, you are correct. There was a frequency. I know I have it here somewhere. Yes, you might be able to do something with that. We'll say that you pull it up.
I also have some photos of the regional map, so if I could line that up with where I saw, try to figure out where on that the crashed shuttle would have been. I want to point that out to Jack as well.
Okay, you sure can.
I had to go back to session 12 in my notes. I knew we had something.
You know what? I
some
didn't
sort
actually
of-
give you a frequency. I gave you verbally
Yeah.
that there was a frequency, but I didn't give you a
Yeah,
frequency
I
like
think
code.
so, yeah.
Okay, that's why I'm not finding. I'm looking for numbers and I'm not finding. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. All right. So yes, you're right. Cedar, through their kind of radio telecommunications that they have through the vans that a few of you guys were able to see, they did depart with you a piece of paper that did have a frequency code that you could try to reach them. And I believe Cedar had mentioned that there's like a certain time of day that they are always kind of checking for information or sending out a broadcast. So that is something that can be explored. And yeah, Finnigan takes a seat again, and he's just kind of hand through hair, keeps it behind his head, and just looking a bit dumbfounded at all. There's it's not quite the planet that I remember growing up in, but a lot has happened here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strange insect creatures. Now they're spacefaring insect creatures. Dynasty and their damn pods. A missing shuttle. Once again, Dynasty seems to be behind a lot of our misfortunes out here. And more information about these catastrophe storms. Part of me wonders if it would be... No, I shouldn't wish them to strike closer. As much as my curiosity gets the better of me, it would be unwise for the citizens if something like that were to occur. You mentioned this man here is, or what is he exactly? As he flips over to the image of Jado. What?
Oh, he was a recent acquaintance that we ran into, and
Some of
we
these
wondered-
pod renegades.
we were wondering if you had any information on mods or other things like this in town.
Yeah, after everything went down, thought there might be some sort of value to this hunk of junk. Possibly for repurposing, or I don't know, maybe even getting information out of what's left.
Well, I'm familiar with augments, but looking at what I can here, and let's see, this is an acquaintance as he looks back to Cadin.
He's an enemy.
Former, yeah.
Okay.
We can bring you the genuine article if you ever want to see it.
I was being polite.
Are you sure that this man is augmented, albeit heavily, or is he artificial?
I
Good question.
don't know enough about this sort of technology to know.
We'd
Without, I
likely
don't know,
have to
Tearing them
scan.
apart and looking at the insides.
Exactly, yeah. Well, we would have to know for certain if you guys weren't able to discern it when he was still an acquaintance, that whether he has his biological means within him. If he has a brain, for example, that's usually a sign that he was at least once upon a time a part of the human empire, not artificially created. But if even his brain is mechanical, then this man may be fully artificial. When you say repurpose, what do you have in mind? He looks out of commission to me.
As you can see by my friend over here, she is already partly augmented, so we may be able to improve.
Yeah. Dynasty took my arm, gave me a new one.
It might be possible, but frankly, this is out of my expertise. If you really wanted to to have someone take a look at it, I could direct you to someone I know, Linus Watts.
I heard about Linus
Heard of him,
Watts.
yeah.
I was curious to see if you would be able to vouch for his work as well. It seems like a lot of people do.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, I mean, when we're talking augments, he is one of the names within Fontaine. I'm sure there's a few others, but from a more, I guess, official capacity that I'm able to work in, Linus is someone that I've known for several years. He's a bit... Yeah, he has a bit of an attitude, but and he's a bit short-tempered, but he's otherwise quite skillful. Not to say that he's going to be able to pull any favors. He does... What's the saying? You get what you pay for, and in his case, he does good work, so you can imagine.
Does he do like short videos on tech that he posts online, or is that?
No, I don't think he does any of that.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're looking for someone of that nature, I've seen.
That's fine. The name just ringed a bell. That's all.
Okay. Well, yeah.
On the topic of these renegades, I wanted to ask you another thing. Are you familiar with these purple people and their demon tricks?
Purple people and demon tricks. You talking?
Do you got a photo of him?
Yeah, some like humans, but not. Strangely, strange mannerisms, strange everything. But
He was, I believe, part of the demonic empire, if I recall.
Yeah, like I said, demon tricks.
Huh.
Mess with people's minds.
He gives you a mixture of a curious but concerned look as his brow furrows and his eyes kind of wander off in self-thought. But you're telling me the demon empire is here too?
At least one. He's purple skinned, kind of looks, I don't know, demon-y.
Yeah, let's pull up his image.
Like
so
they.
Did you have something else?
Oh, I was gonna say we went out on one of these tasks for Mr. Cooper. He wanted us to look into these people, knowing that they were from a drop pod, but they were missing their overseer.
Remember? Yeah.
Yeah. That ASAC is planted with these people to keep an eye on them. They were missing theirs, apparently, based on all accounts we could get. Probably died on the way down, or else they woke up first and put a bullet in them. We saw that happen as well elsewhere. But they had a woman captive, a local, that they were claiming dropped with them, that then murdered one of theirs. As it turns out, well, most of them weren't even on a pod. Hold on, I'm putting things together.
He's
not pod renegades.
Listening intently.
They're independents. They came down here posing as people who came with AbsCorp. The woman they were keeping captive, she said that they messed with the minds of people she trusted, that she knew, made these people work for him. And some of his other people went off elsewhere, split off to do their own things. While this guy was trying to, I don't know, beat a local woman and use her as an excuse to get into the city, maybe?
What the hell is he slowly starts to stand and begins pacing in front of the projector. You're telling me AbsCorp is bringing the Demon Empire into this too? I've seen...
They're not necessarily from the AbsCorp, the demon people. They just happen to be involved, and they were independent, not part of AbsCorp.
He made it seem like he didn't like Dynasty.
I don't know much about the Demon Empire. I've mostly read about them. There's plenty of stories of our race's interaction with the Demon Empire. The accounts of their dealings are, I would say, mixed from what I've read. It concerns me because before fighting began, we did have some ambassadors from the Demon Empire come to Fontaine. They seemed to be very interested in setting up. They were talking about some kind of like an embassy they wanted to set up to the north. And they seemed very adamant about settling in that area. But they left. We declined because around that time we were still, at least from what I recall, we were still dealing with the power change between the Akiyama family and Dynasty, and that already was chaotic enough. So we had declined and told them that we don't have the ability to really what's the word? To entertain their interest with the planet, and they had left, and we heard nothing of them. And they always gave me a weird vibe because even when we turned them down, they seemed as though they had this air as though they had still gotten what they wanted. And from the records of past stories that I've seen where the Human Empire have dealt with the Demon Empire, countless times there's records that they are cunning business folk. They're able to navigate the political landscape very well. They seem to be very influential, but much like Dynasty, I would say that generally what they bring is for their own interests and not for wherever it is that they go. If you're telling me that there are likely to be the demon kind on Aurora Green, then that is yet another concern that I'm going to have to keep an eye out for.
What do they know about Aurora Green? They were so interested. They wanted to post up somewhere north of here.
Yeah.
People in the black armor were operating somewhere north of here. Same place, maybe?
Maxine, did you ever see what was under the black armor, or no?
It's just black armor as far as I know.
They were not very descriptive. It was still early in our negotiations when they arrived. The council, again, we had to turn them down. I think collectively, I know the Narrow Trade Company declined quite adamantly of their settlement here, and they just gave me a very uncomfortable feeling. So I had used the change in the planetary ownership as a kind of an excuse to worry about this another time. But again, the demon ambassadors, you couldn't tell if they got if they got their way or not with their expressions. They always seem to be walking around carrying this look of knowing, which is unnerving to me.
Actually, that brings a good point. What is your opinion on the Narrow Trade Company, out of curiosity? Have you had much dealings with them?
I mean, for the longest time, I thought they had the Fontaine's best interest in mind, but after I had met with you all and Maxine here had informed me that the Narrow Trade Company may be working closely with Dynasty, well, that was all the confirmation I needed from an outside source that Narrow may be more involved with Dynasty than, well, initially meets the eye. And I had my suspicions, and, well, with the new information I've gained. I have a added skepticism towards my dealings with the Neurotrit Company, but at the same time, I'm not in no position to discredit their involvement in this city, and unfortunately, until I have some hard evidence that they are harmful to what we are hoping to do here, there's very little that I can do but agree to disagree with their involvement in our council.
So, when we spoke to this demon, he said, made it seem like he didn't like Dynasty, whether I believe him or not. Even if he doesn't like Dynasty, it doesn't matter if Dynasty isn't the one as in control as they. If somehow someone like Dynasty is a part of the schemes without even knowing it, puppet?
No, so he puts up hands and it's just like that. Dynasty alone is bad enough. You're telling me that they might even be puppets. That's I don't know if I can deal with that level of.
Maybe they're puppets, maybe they're willful. Maybe there's no connection, but Koji, we see this guy again. He doesn't die because he needs to talk.
So don't kill Demon Man.
Don't kill him.
Capture Demon Man.
Make him talk.
Kojo kind of nodded and said, "Alright. I can make him talk." Kind of left him in the middle of nowhere, though, didn't we?
He disappeared. He got away. He was the only survivor because he used his, I don't know, his demon tricks to get away.
Do you believe in demon tricks?
Do you believe in demon magic?
Can we get
All he did was go 20 feet away.
I think
Secretly, he just turned invisible and stood there and watched us, like, you know.
Just waited.
He climbed into our car.
That would have been the ultimate. Like, he's under the, he's like
Oh
under
my
the
God.
undercarriage, like a freaking prison break.
Caden,
In the barrel of oil.
give me a d20 roll.
D20. Okay.
I know it's out of character, but this will be an out of character roll.
Where'd my fucking page? Did I close my character page? There it is. Just a regular D20.
Yep.
Sure. 6.
6. That's terrible. No. All right. But yeah, Jack is just he takes a seat again. He's kind of staring off. You see just thoughts and gears turning as his mind starts racing, and you almost feel like his hairs are turning even grayer right before your eyes. But okay, so demons, they're here. Dynasty, they're doing something.
There's a lot of interest in Aurora Green now. It's a pivot point around events greater than we realize yet.
Dynasty, the Embers, and the demons all look about equally as shady in this situation. I think they're all digging for something. The Embers are digging out near Ederson.
What do you mean they're
People in
digging?
the black armor are digging in the north.
Someone's digging at Ederson. We don't know who. We assume the Embers because they're the last ones in control.
Yeah. Apparently they take people, make them slaves, make them dig.
The Embers are doing this.
Again,
Seems
we
to
haven't
be.
confirmed this. This is just suspicion.
If I recall, it was the Embers that are taking people for labor.
Again, we haven't personally collaborated any of this information. This is just what we've been told / heard.
It's objection hearsay.
Come across the name Alber, that's the demon.
Albert. Noted.
He had 2 others,
Well, none of them survived.
but no, before we fought them, there were 2 others that Soraya told us about. They came to her tribe, or town, or whatever. Split up. Albert mind controlled some people. Is that something you can do, Cadin?
Sort of.
Wait, what do you mean, sort of?
It's
Don't worry about it.
I don't know if I would call it mind control, but I do believe that there are ways
persuasive.
Cadin, Finnigan looks to you. Cadin, would you dance like a chicken for me? And I'm gonna have you give me a wisdom saving throw.
Mm-hmm. And the verdict is 17.
Oh, you succeed.
I just look at him. No.
Yeah, it's not likely to occur down here, but if we were above ground, then perhaps Cadin would have danced like a chicken. But there are
Look over to
ways.
Koji. There's bullshit in, right? There's no way.
What you say?
When I asked you to leave John's shop?
Yeah, and then I wanted to leave,
Exactly.
but I wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think he's bullshitting.
They gotta be.
Yeah.
Mind control? Come on.
Point is, we need to head out east. Jack, you wanted us to look into things. And there's these people that operate some sort of slave camp. Apparently travels to Edgerson, according to Soraya. Probably Embers, according to Soraya. Soraya is the one with the Omni device.
Noted. It's
So I think we head east. Once we're properly done here. Maybe with a railgun.
Did you already buy one?
I thought
No.
about it. I didn't, but I thought about it. Now I'm thinking, what if we are being followed by someone and we need to take them down, and they are in something durable? Well, guns are
What
good
if they
for
have
that.
their own railgun?
Then we shoot them first.
To be fair, in most cases, I would put Maxine against most people's shots. Like,
if you guys are if you are willing to go out and do this for us, do stay in touch. If there's any information that you'd like looked into, that is something that me and my people are good at.
Continue to look up information about cores.
I certainly can, but without any sort of specifics, it'd be very vague.
Oh, anything would be helpful, because right now, vague's about all we got.
Well, I think I shared a little bit of what I knew about cores, and I have done some reading since we had last spoken. It's hard.
Any research journals you can send us or something?
Yeah, I could summarize a few of them for you. Again, the cores are something that
Their legend.
are virtually legend until they're found. It's a needle in a haystack. It's I'm sure there's it's the gold at the end of a rainbow, I think was a phrase once upon a time.
Well, also, don't they have the tendency to like form like empires around these things?
It's not so much that they have the power to, but they grant the ability through. One of the greatest challenges that we face here is finding a way to sustain what we have built. And power goes a long way. Also, with the advances that we've made as a species with our technology and our ability to traverse the stars, as he kind of gestures, grandly around him, although you guys are indoors underground, but you get the idea. Well, some of the biggest challenges are being able to, our limitations, our biological limitations, and machines have come a long way to help with that. The cores, from what I understand, are some combination of intelligence and power in a form that is virtually unlimited, somehow self-sustaining, and the intelligence that is fused with it seems to have found a way to keep it sustainable. So, in every account of an existing core being made mention, they're in unestablished moments generally are followed by conflict. There are various races that have conflicted or started fights long ago to acquire such power, such a technology. If what you believe is a core here through the efforts of AbsCorp is in fact a core on Aurora Green, then perhaps all the chaos and all the involvement from different groups would start to make a bit more sense. But it's such a wild concept that a core could be here, and why and how, and there's not a lot of record explaining the origins of a core. The closest information that I was able to find comes from a man long ago. I don't believe he is still alive, but Victor Horizon, one of the founding, I guess, fathers of the concept of these Horizon cores. He claims that it's difficult to tell what comes first. Is it the power source that fuels the intelligence, or is it the intelligence that fuels the power source? It seems to be intertwined, but there's that phrase, the chicken before the egg before the chicken. It seems to be very much that type of situation where until it is witnessed, it is unknown, and as far as written records go, there is none. We do have records that all the major races do appear to have their own cores. The Demon Empire is suspected to have one. The Elden Empire, or the Elden Alliance, appears through our relationship with them, have admitted to owning a core. It is speculated, but believed, that a few major super corporations within the Human Empire have cores. And it is said that through some of these legends of the 7 technicians, that they all had come from a central homeworld that is its own core, which is just unimaginable to me, but a homeworld that is a core. So they seem to be quite unique and varied in between. I've yet to come across a record of 2 being alike. And from what I understand, an established core doesn't cause any issues in its immediate surroundings, but the creation of a core has been noted to have some dire consequences if failed, or, well, it seems there's typically turmoil with the creation of a core.
That changes what I was thinking.
Now, care to share? I don't think there's much else that could surprise me right now.
There's power, there's intelligence. You're saying that conflict tends to follow cores being found, I assume. I was going to ask if conflicts could come before if a core was defending itself. If it didn't want to be found, but if it's not that, and it's a big stew pot of a planet that's cooking up a core.
Oh, you're wondering if the chaos is causing the creation
all
of
these
core.
storms and
The events.
magic is just
That's actually not that far. You know what they say?
the
Chaos
pot
is
letting off some
creation.
steam.
A creation is chaos?
I don't know anything about that.
What if there's a possibility where these chaos happens to be at certain planets, and then the core emerges from the chaos?
What if it's both? What if Aurora Green made core here. The core was made here. But what if also the planet changing and it's creating strange wildlife, changing wildlife? What if it's because the core was made here, but also it doesn't like what's happening here? Core, it doesn't need anyone, doesn't need anything, right?
Well,
So what's it care if it bakes the entire surface of the planet to get rid of some troublemakers?
possible. Again, something would have had to kickstart it, because I know at least Edgerson was well, maybe not. I don't know. I believe it wasn't a core related. That was something else. But maybe that started
What
the
if
chain
the
of
demons-
events that led to.
Or
And
What?
I don't think it's those bugs. I mean, I might be overstepping here, but they didn't seem that smart to me.
maybe they were smart enough to realize, survival instinct. Everything's got that, even bugs, to some extent. When it comes down to like the whole hive, right? They want to protect the whole thing. It doesn't matter if a few drones die,
I'd
falling
give
off
you
the
the
side of a rocket
ability
while it's flying into space.
I'd give you the part of maybe latching on for survival, but I don't think they could develop it.
It just feels like seems like there could be something in the kind of the some truth here in the chaos, but it also feels a little tin hatty at the same time,
Well, we have, I have 3 groups that feel like they're connected to what's going on. That's the Embers, that's the Demons,
I agree with
that's
that, yes.
Dynasty.
Yes.
The Demons were here doing something. Dynasty was here doing something.
Yes, yes.
The Embers, their predecessors were already here. Any of them could have been involved in what started this. What if the creation of one of these things just requires a secret ingredient dropped
To be
in?
fair, this all kickstarted with Edgerson and the cleansing.
But the fighting
That could
started
have been
before that.
the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, if kind of thing.
I think that was the start of things
Chain
getting
reaction.
weird. But I think this all started earlier than that.
Well, I can't speak to prior to that. I don't know what the Demon Empire or the Narrow Trade Company or Abscorp were doing pre-cleansing. All I know is that the Black Lotus was active, or Black Lotus, Onyx Blossom. Sorry,
You
Onyx
were
Blossom.
so close.
Yeah, Onyx
So-
Blossom
I can't
was
say that.
So-
active in Edgerson prior to the cleansing. That's about all I know. What they
If
were
we
doing,
could-
I don't know either.
If we consider scale and look at relative convenience, Embers is the first target. You go in, kill a bunch of them, make the ones that know things tell us what's going on if they can't tell us anything. We get some bigger guns and go after the next one.
Sounds good to me. I have a bone to pick with the Embers anyways, so.
You guys will
And
get
eventually
I'm
we
down.
figure out what's happening. And we stop it and we fix my planet. You know what I mean.
Yes, we're kin.
So basically, plan is kill all the right people until we figure out what the fuck's going on.
Essentially, yep.
We bend all the
Hell
right
yeah.
people, kill all the others.
Yeah, I like that.
This is what Dynasty has made.
Maxine, if I may. That seems like we're bringing a lot of chaos. We're already on this very, I'll say, very
Knife's edge.
sensitive ecosystem. Yes, Cadin, that
What?
I'm a bit worried that we're bringing more trouble into something that maybe this planet cannot handle.
Well, here's how I'm looking at things, right? I trust 3 people. I trust.
Me, myself, and I.
Give me some credit. I trust Jack.
Jack
I
gives you a
trust
nod. Thank you.
the nomads. Good people. They're Aurora Green people.
I feel like we
people,
can
though.
find more people we can trust, and if we have to bash some heads, we'll bash some heads, but we just ultimately need answers, and whether we do it violently, diplomatically, or any other way, it doesn't really matter, but we need answers.
Revolution often comes with violence. It's just how it goes. Now, if we can
We're fighting
find
a
some more
revolution
good
now?
people, here's the thing: we find some more good people. Edrison is a pit.
Yeah.
The Embers need to go. But
Yes.
if they go, other renegades take their place. Unless there's someone ready to take their place and bring Edrison back to some level of reason.
Sam sits down. Not it. I've never been one for geopolitics.
I'm not talking about any of us. We're all... We smash things, and
Yeah, we're not predisposed to that type of role.
we're soldiers, not leaders. All right?
Point and smash, point and smash.
But we have Jack. We have the nomads. We can find people that are ready for that responsibility. And we can have them ready to be there when Edrison needs them. But to make Edrison ready to need them, the Embers need to go.
I am on board for the Embers going.
Whether we're planning a grand revolution or not, the Embers need to go.
Agreed.
You can't argue that.
Man, I hope the Embers have a great republic going on already.
Yeah, they're like legally elected democracy or some shit.
They've already gone through the whole rebellion. This is it. They're growing. That's a great country now.
You get there, they're the good guys now.
Yeah.
Cards on the table. I didn't make it trying to become an officer in my career before this. So if I sound like I'm taking the wrong path, help me.
I feel like we're in the right direction. What we do when it comes time to make those bigger decisions, we'll cross that bridge when it comes to. But ultimately, we need answers. The Embers, we need to investigate and deal with them, and we just need information. And one way of getting this is to bash heads together. In worst case, we'll meet new people like the Nomads. We'll make new friends. We'll make new allies, and those we don't, we'll push aside.
If
And
I
unless
may
we
offer a
happen upon Alba again, the Embers is
we'll
the only
just-
way to go right now.
I'm not big on mass murder.
That doesn't
I understand.
Not necessarily murder, black eyes if we have.
I understand needing to get rid of the Embers, but if we may, maybe limit it to just keep positions, and then the way they would fall apart, and let a new group form.
To add on to Sam's point, if I may, when I came onto this planet and why I came here, it was not to fight your war. And so I am hesitant to be able to move forward with this, but Sam, if you are up for it to help them, and as long as we're doing our best to, I guess, preserve the powers, the power that may be, and ensure that we're not leaving this place in a state where it cannot survive, then I will do my best to help.
My goal has been since day one, since we were on that border station, was to get back to my clan, and the sooner I can get off this, excuse my language, shithole of a planet, I'd love to. And the closest thing I could do is get someone close to Dynasty who might be able to get us access to those spaceships. And for now, Maxine, you're my best bet.
Well, perhaps Finnigan speaks up. Perhaps I might be able to lend some assistance here. It seems to me that Maxine and Cadin have a bit of a vested interest, being that this is their home world, much as I align with that as well. But the rest of you don't appear to be from this planet. You say that you want to get back to your clansmates. What happened there? Perhaps I could try to reach out and reach the technician ambassadors and see perhaps where you need to go.
If we can, my life, I came from the Kyoto belt, and I was on a ship with my clanmates, but one day I woke up here and they just disappeared.
Life
What,
story time. Where'd you go to high school?
Do you know what your craft's name is? I could try contacting. Did they land planetside or are they up in Bora Station?
Last I heard, last I remember, to be frank with you, we were close to Port Station, and to be quite frank with you, I woke up here. I woke up there. I mean, if you can look up the Tusker Beyond, that's the name of the ship I was on.
One more time, Tusker
Beyond.
Bjorn. I'll see if my contacts might be able to track down your clansmates and this shuttle.
We were explorers, so hopefully they're all right. But I've been trying to make contact with them, and I haven't been successful.
You wouldn't happen to know what their destination after Bora Station would have been, would you?
As explorers, we just kind of moved from place to place. We were kind of in an outer reach that personally our clan had never been to.
I'll see what I can find. And with that, Sam, I need you to give me a D20 roll.
It's 12.
In your favor.
Ooh.
Oh, that's pretty good.
16.
16. Noted. All right, and then he turns his head to the next one over, Daario. You said you said earlier that you didn't come to this planet to fight our fight, and I can understand that. So, is there perhaps something that I could help you with?
Well, to be honest, Mr. Finnigan, I would say, given the resources that you have with this library, if I can, before we leave, spend a little bit of time to try to do a bit of research on my own, maybe no more than an hour, just to use your facility to try to find some information of things I've been looking for. I think
a public library, you're more than welcome to, but if there is something that you'd like to find specifically, I mean, myself and people under me are here all the time. We would be, in exchange for your help, it would be something that I would be glad to look into as well.
That's much appreciated. I would say that though I can try to find some of this information on my own, I would appreciate any help that you can provide, especially with some things I'm looking into may not be so privy, or at least may not be privy to other people to know about. So somebody with your resources and with your knowledge and would be really helpful for me.
Absolutely. Are you comfortable sharing, as he kind of eyeballs the other members of the party, what it is that you're looking for specifically?
Once we're done here, if you have a moment, I'd like to talk about it with you, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, he'll give you a nod.
Daario kind of like, not darts his eyes back and forth like between the group, but kind of like at least not to see coming from a place of embarrassment, but more of like maybe shyness or not really feeling vulnerable to be more open outside of just that comment.
Sure. Daario, gosh, you would have done this kind of covertly.
That's right.
Yeah, what's your stealth modifier?
+2.
+2? Who has a +3 or higher in their insight?
I have a +3.
Not me.
Is it
Nope.
just Maxine?
Definitely not me.
All right. Maxine, since you're the only one, call out if you care to notice. Otherwise, Daario would have just covertly done it. Your call. But last up, Finnigan turns to you, Koji, and you, big guy, you're not really much for words, but is there something I could perhaps help you with, or are you along for the ride regardless?
I'm along for the ride regardless. Don't have a whole lot of wants and needs. Oh, wait. Do you know anything about Akiyama, what the hell's going on over there? Last I saw on TV, big alien ship with some shit flying over it.
I am gonna roll.
Was he watching the news for those 30 minutes?
As far as I'm concerned, Akiyama has kind of stepped away from the dealings of Aurora Green. I don't really know what they've been up to. Most of my focus, unless prompted otherwise, has been to this planet and specifically the city. So, no, if you'd like me to look into something going on over there, I certainly can. But at the moment, no, I'm not aware of anything. What's happening at Akiyama?
I just saw on the news a couple of days ago that there's a spaceship or some shit flying above my family's headquarters.
That wouldn't be uncommon, no?
No, but
It was, yeah.
made the news, so
I'll have to look into it. I'll let you know if I find anything.
alright. And with that, Koji's actually gonna sit down at the table and pull out his Omni device to check his mail, see if his sister responded.
You do. After, and you're looking at your traditional one, right?
Yeah.
No,
Sam
it's been quiet.
scoots next to Koji and shares a flask.
Thanks, man. Let me take a swig of it.
All right. Well, this has been more than I was expecting. A little bit too much, frankly, but I'll see what I can do to sift through it. And I have Maxine's contact, but would anyone else like a more direct line of communication?
I'll share mine.
Anyone else? Just Cadin?
Koji share his.
I don't.
Daario will share his.
Okay, so just no Sam, okay? Well, as he also then takes a seat and out of a side drawer pulls out a glass and a nice bottle of what looks like a amber Jack Daniel looking bottle. We'll pour out a few for those that would be willing, as he gestures open-handedly for you guys to help yourselves. And he takes a sip.
The entire party dies of poisoning.
Got the information I wanted. I don't need these guys anymore.
I think I would help myself
I'd have one.
with expediency.
Sure. All right, as you all...
I would walk up, a little disappointed that it's not Sun Soul. Greatest alcohol there ever was.
I thought he was gonna grab the bottle instead of the glass.
Koji grabs the bottle.
Hell yeah.
There it is.
But you all sit there, enjoy a glass in kind of mixed silence. But Jack, we'll ask you all, so what are you all planning to do now?
A few more errands around town, and then I think we're headed to Edgerson.
Roll some heads.
As he takes a swig. But very well.
Guys, remind me, Edgerton is which direction of us?
East.
East? Okay.
Yep, east. Pretty straight east. I believe it'll take you guys, you had a vehicle if I remember. It should take you about 6 days if you make good time. If you stop, maybe 8 or 9.
So maybe we might bump into all those other Dynasty folks who you're looking for on our way.
Possibly.
I think that's kind of part of the point.
All right. Well, if I find anything, I'll let you guys know. And if you find anything noteworthy.
How is coverage for? I'm gonna shake my Omni device. Outside of town, like planet wide. Is it spotty? Is it Fontaine's relatively secure? Do you have contact with anyone outside of Fontaine on a regular basis?
There's never any droppage of your Omni device, Cadin.
For the most part, as far as I'm aware, as long as there isn't a signal that's interfering with your connection, most of the transmissions actually are sent up to Bora Station. So as long as nothing funky for nothing weird happens at Boris Station, we generally should have full connectivity and service with the Omni network.
Okay.
And the video pans to Boris Station on fire.
Yeah,
People screaming and running.
overridden by red insects.
Yeah.
Is Boris Station?
We think he's joking.
Yeah. Is Boris Station what?
Is Boris Station strictly tied to Aurora Green, or does it? Who runs things there?
That'd be Abscorp.
Dynasty?
That would be Dynasty, yes.
Yeah, sorry, Dynasty, yeah.
If it wasn't for Dynasty, Boris Station probably wouldn't exist.
That's what I thought. Why did I lose connection to the Dynasty network on the planet?
Was that? When was that? Though, was that during like a big storm or something?
After we arrived, the rest of you were fine on the Omni network, right? Probably, like, you never. Not kidding, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Sam?
I lost connection when we were done.
My thought is if I am a person on this planet and I see a bunch of Dynasty ship shuttles coming down from Butter Station, maybe in a way of defense, we block signals. We try to jam them.
No, we didn't do any sort of jamming, at least none that I'm aware of.
It was around the time I think we found the first crashed dropship with the shuttle.
I don't know.
Around there somewhere.
Is it possible that there was some kind of a source that was interfering where you landed, or where this happened? Has it happened since?
Oh no, it was only there. What if it was the bugs?
Maybe it was
they had a rocket ship. What if they had? I don't know. What if they were doing a signal test and they just blasted, signals out and it just interrupted everything?
Maybe.
I don't know how this stuff works. The bugs were near there. That's the only thing I'm thinking.
Maxine's out here losing her mind.
Yeah, we need to go buy you a tin hat to match your.
Maxine needs answers
Yeah.
yesterday.
1 answer, 5 questions. Let's go.
I mean, they were bugs, but like, they didn't seem that technologically advanced to begin with. Like, yeah, they could build a rocket and shit, but like, they couldn't. Blocking the signal is kind of complex.
How are you going to say, yeah, they can build a rocket and shit? How are you going to say that? How did you physically say that? That is insane. Bugs built a rocket. That shouldn't...
I mean, they could talk to me, so like...
Sure. Well, actually, Cadin wouldn't know. Never mind.
No, none of you know. That's Koji's been saying that since he missed.
Is there any bug species that we might know about? But
I've seen some bugs. Never one that built their own ship. Maybe ones that carry other bugs. Have you ever seen bugs that fly up to the atmosphere? But never a rocket ship.
You're certain, and Jack again speaks, so you're certain that these bugs aren't like some breed of the taxon people? The kindred?
I assume they were things here that changed, but...
The taxon aren't just the felines, if those are the ones that you've met. The taxon are a wide variety of different non-humans, I suppose. We don't really understand their origin or where they came from and why they're so varied, but they commonly refer to themselves as the kindred, and they tend to travel in small kind of colonies or tribes or groups and flocks. But from the records I've seen, they could range from humanoids with feline characteristics to canine characteristics to avian characteristics. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it turns out that there are kindred who are insectoid in nature.
It's a possibility. Again, we're tin hat speculation at this point. We're not going to get any further by this.
Well,
I say we go and we find our answers that we want.
I think with that, this is a great place to call the end of episode 23 of Horizon Exploration. Let's go. Man, I gotta say, I enjoyed that a lot. I enjoyed that a lot. You guys are making some very interesting claims, and
I can just keep in notes. Oh, that's a good idea. I should use that.
That you wish I was taking notes, dude. I'm so bad with notes, but I do think that some answers are starting to funnel into some categories, and I'm excited to see what you guys make of it and the dealings with the factions that have risen to be involved on this planet. I'm excited to see how you guys interact with them and who you may encounter soon. And yeah, it sounds like the party is getting ready to depart Fontaine for what comes next. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. We just got to stop by the body shop, I think, and I mean like body part shop.
Body part shop. Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I think we're good to go.
Cool.
I think my main goals are maybe check out a couple of these people that we heard about, right? And maybe get a railgun.
Man, Maxine really wants that railgun.
You just put candy in front of a child, man. That's what you did.
Maybe.
I also thought about like the flamethrowers and stuff, but the railgun though.
You need more long-range projectile weapons, I see. Yeah. Actually, we did talk about this, right? Maxine will one day become just the weapon master of firearms, where she has like 6 guns on her back and she just slings them out, fires them one each. It's faster to switch weapons than it is to reload.
Yeah.
All right. Any other closing thoughts or things anyone in the party would like to share before we wrap things up for tonight?
Yes.
Kira, go killing again.
Any like nation's first thing is like putting a bunch of explosives into a tube. So bugs can build a rocket.
We're gonna find Koji outside with like a bunch of ants, giving them like explosives and stuff to see if they can yeah.
Come on, why won't you talk to me? Koji's just... This is a story of Koji just slowly devolving into madness. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in as always. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we should be back next week with episode 24 as the party ventures, I believe, out of Fontaine. We'll see what happens and how it plays out. But this was Horizon Exploration, and until next time, as always, take it easy, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good one.